Hi everyone, Jeanette here with Vivo Vintage Designs. Today I wanted to speak to you about a question that I'm asked more often than any other question. How do I seal my paintings? So today that's the subject of this video. I'm not going to demonstrate because I'm working in my basement and I cannot open windows and my dog is down here with me, and the products that I use do smell and may be harmful to breathe in for your dog and for yourself. So I do recommend that if you use these products, either you do it outside or do it in an area where you have good ventilation. Alright, so first thing is a tile. Now this is a tile, and you're getting the glare of my light, so I apologize for that. This is a tile that I have not sealed. And you can see it's, hopefully with the reflection of the light, you can see it's a little chalky. So if I were to seal this, I would use these two products here, the varnish and the UV resistant clear. This is what I use. I've made the mistake of using, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, I would use the varnish, and I do about 3 light coats, and I make sure that the entire surface is covered. And why is that so important? Because I believe, and I can't read the writing is way too small for me, but I do believe that the UV contains alcohol in it. So of course it's going to reactivate your ink. So always use the varnish first. Use a few light coats, whatever you feel comfortable with. I usually do 3. Make sure that you cover the entire surface. Let it dry in between coats. I usually wait about 4 hours in between coats, depending on the weather here in New Jersey. But let it dry completely in between coats. So 3 coats of the varnish, and then I do about 2 coats of the UV resistant clear. And that's how I would seal my tile first. Now, let me show you a mistake that I made when I first began. This is a tile that I did, one of the first tiles I did, and I was so proud of that flower. However, I didn't know how to seal it. So I sealed it with polyacrylic, and it's a water-based sealer. And then I resined over it, and you can see how badly it yellowed. And not knowing too much about resin, you can see I have a lot of dust in it. So it's important that when you use resin on your tile, that you cover it. After you pour your resin on it, cover it with a plastic container so that dust does not settle on the resin while it's drying. So, lesson learned, don't ever use polyacrylic to seal your tile because it will yellow over time. So this is a tile that I sealed using 3 coats of the varnish and 2 coats of the UV resistant clear. Now I would use this for display purposes. I would maybe even put something cold on it, but I wouldn't put anything hot on it. I don't know how heat resistant those 2 products, the varnish and the UV protection, are, but I would use this for display purposes. And the way I would display a tile in my home is I bought a box of these little easels, very inexpensive. When I purchased it, it was just plain wood. So I embellished it, I painted it, I did a little, I sanded the sides to make it a little, look a little older. Anyway, and then I created these molds here and applied them using paper clay, and I have a bunch of molds back from when I refinished furniture. And I would display this tile anywhere in my home on an easel. Now these easels do come in larger sizes, maybe for a larger tile. I wouldn't recommend an easel this size for the larger tile, but it's perfect for the small one. Even a small painting looks cute on it. Anyway, now this is a tile that I sealed with resin. I did 3 coats of the varnish first, let them dry in between, and then I did 2 coats of the UV protection. And I've tried a couple of resins. I've tried crystal clear, and I do like it. It works well, but my favorite is art resin, and it's a little bit more expensive, but it's a quality product in my opinion. So it's your art. You do what you feel comfortable with and what your pocket allows you to do. And now that it's resined, I would use this for maybe a warm cup of coffee or a cold drink. You can put little felt tabs on the back or the little silicone ones. I would glue them using a good glue. I like E6000. As you can tell, my tube is all squished. Or you can use cork, felt, whatever you want on the back of the tile to use it as a coaster or a trivet. But the resin gives it a really nice shine. Just be careful because each resin requires different measurements, either a 2-to-1 ratio or a 1-to-1 ratio. So make sure you read the instructions well and follow them to the T. Now this is, I showed you that, this is the tile that I haven't finished. And the reason I haven't finished this one is because I use this for demos, so I will wipe away this flour and continue to use this same tile over and over again. Okay, so I think I've covered the tiles. Now I'm going to talk to you about my paintings. Oh, I know what I wanted to tell you. These little frames here I purchased from IKEA, and they all have these strange names, but this one is MALMA, and they're fairly inexpensive. They have a little mirror in the center. So how I mount one of my tiles to this is I would take the E6000 and I don't put it right on the edge. I put it in just a little bit, and I put a square of the glue around it, and then I adhere it to the frame. And make sure you center it well, because once it's on there, it's on there. And I don't remove the mirror or anything because it's completely covered by the tile. Now these frames come in black and white, and they work really well for the small tiles, giving you a nice large border, or you can use the larger tile and they work perfect for that too. In case you want to display your tiles on the wall, these frames work really well. There's also other frames that you can purchase where the tile sits inside the frame, but I think that the tile gets lost, and I don't like small paintings personally on my wall. I like something a little bit bigger. Maybe these frames would look really nice in a group of 3 or 2, either vertically or horizontally. That's just my personal preference. But you can buy these at IKEA. Now, how do I store my paintings and how do I seal my paintings? So I normally do not seal my paintings unless they've been sold or I'm giving them as a gift. And to give you an example of how I store them, I store them in these plastic sleeves. You can get these at any office supply store, and they come in boxes, and I'm not sure how many you get, but they're great for saving your paintings. So I put each individual painting in one of these, and I keep them in a box. I also make prints of some of my paintings, and I keep them in the box. Sometimes I'll keep them in the sleeve, sometimes I don't. But I keep them in a box because that way they're protected from the light, dust, and what have you. And when I seal my paintings, I use 3 coats, sometimes even 4, of the varnish. Make sure you cover the entire surface, but do light coats. Don't make it too thick on the first coat and the second coat. Just use as many coats as you feel necessary for your needs, and make sure to cover the surface and give it ample time to dry. I usually wait about 4 hours in between. And then use the UV resistant. Don't use the UV resistant first. Like I said, it contains some alcohol, and of course it will reactivate the inks on your painting and ruin it. So a lot of people I've heard say that they sprayed the varnish first and then the UV protection, and their painting was ruined. Well, that's most likely because you did not cover the entire painting. You may have missed a couple of spots, and when you sprayed the resistant, it activated your inks and ruined your painting. So it's really important that you cover the entire surface in a few light coats and wait a few hours in between spraying. Make sure you shake your can really well. That's important. And make sure that the tip is clean. Like this one has a little film on it. So I would make sure that I clean that off before I spray it, because what happens is you don't get that nice fine mist. You get droplets, and that can ruin a painting as well. So I think I've covered everything. If you have any questions or if I forgot to mention something, please leave it in the comments. And as always, if you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell if you would like to receive notifications when I post a new video. You can also follow me on my Facebook page, Vivo Vintage Designs. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with me. And enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.